Welcome to the Evolution Revolution podcast. I'm Mark Johnston. In this podcast, we explore stories of resilience, reinvention, and finding the warrior within. In this episode, Jacqueline Way, highly successful businesswoman, keynote speaker. I knew Jacqueline when she and her husband adopted multiple children, and something inside of her said to explore the art of giving. And there was born 365 Give. Jacqueline's message to the world is one of beauty and inspiration. Let's hear her story. This episode, we have the great pleasure of welcoming Jacqueline Way, who is one of the most remarkable humans I've ever known, a keynote speaker, masterclass teacher, and many things in the world of giving back to the world, Jacqueline. And I remember about 15 years ago when you were first starting this something called 365 Give. And if I remember correctly, you took an entire year and every day you did something of beauty and giving back. And that's where I remember your launch into the world of giving back. So let me ask the question I ask of every guest off the top of my episode is, at this time in your evolution, Jacqueline Way, what is your highest message to the world?
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you. Hi, everybody. You know, I love that you work backwards, because when I started that project that you were just talking about, 365 Give, and where I am today, it's been so much part of my evolution and my expansion in the world. And my message really is very simple. And I wish for everyone that they get to experience, and this is where I'm at right now, is experiencing the highest, truest version of who I am. And for me, that's love. I believe that I am pure love, and what I've learned over the evolution of my life is that's how or where we come from. We come from an essence of pure love, a frequency of pure love, and we're here to express that here in real time in this beautiful avatar that we get to hop into called our bodies, and we get to go around and be in this world as an expression of love. And that's where my expansion has taken me today.
Well said, Jack. You know, I know we're both believers in energy, and just the words that come forward from you have light and beauty. And the world needs so much of that right now. This is the other thing we know with all the turmoil and conflict. Bananas, I would say. And so I think it's people like you, Jacqueline, that light a torch and help people see a way to a better life. So as we bring in your message to the world, which was beautifully said, I like to go back to say, when Jacqueline was a wee one, tell me about your journey into life. Did you know early on that you had something special in you? When did the first inklings of I am more start with Jacqueline Way?
You know, I think everyone needs to take that journey back in their life to see how they started. And I think the beautiful thing that I've learned about literally my first moments on planet Earth is I was separated from my mother. My mother thought she was dying as she was giving birth to me. And that was the magical moment, because it was the contrast that we experience, where you're taken away from the only heartbeat that you know in this world, to begin the journey of understanding and finding your own way home, your own heartbeat in this world. And so it's taken me a long time to figure out that odd, unusual start in my life, because I was taken away from my mother instantly and for 2 or 3 days. And so to be kind of torn away from the one heartbeat that you know, that was the beginning of my journey of actually finding my way home to myself. And that continues. That continues every day, I think, for me at least. I won't speak for everyone, but when we can connect to our heart, when we can connect to our own heartbeat, when we can connect into the true nature of who we are, and we take the time and energy to do that every day. I do it through meditation every morning. I usually do it in the evening with a meditation walk to make sure that I keep and know that connection, and that I'm true to that connection to myself every day.
Beautiful. And, you know, the word evolution has such power for people that have decided to explore, to get to a different place. And we have, of course, a remarkable, beautiful mutual friend in Gordon MacDonald, who's been a guest on the podcast. Our beautiful friend, originally from Australia, double amputation, climbs a mountain with Wim Hof in Poland, which was my honeymoon, running around filming Gordon climb a mountain in Poland, talking about evolution. It was that moment, Jacqueline, when that story was being told, where I thought, it's all about reinvention. And that man's story could help somebody put down a bottle of alcohol, could help somebody who's lost a child, all these things that we struggle through. I felt his story was universal. And what are your, when you hear the word evolution, what does that mean to Jacqueline?
You know, you use the word evolution, I use the word expansion. I think for me, there is a process that every time we continue to step more into ourselves, into our own true nature, and we express that in the world, that we have these moments, and you were just talking about, you know, those dark moments in our lives and the times that we struggle the most, we begin to come through those struggles in a much faster almost way. We're able to see through them. We're able to stand back far enough for them to really examine them as the true gift that they are. I think that in all of our struggles, I have lots of them, that it's our moment of time to recognize, to be truly aware that this is the moment of that expansion, of that growth that we take, that step that we can take where we go, hey, this is a human experience. I'm not negating it. It may be anger, it may be fear, it may be what feels like hatred, whatever those negative emotions are. Those are your indicators. It's like a little flashing light to say, hey, you're off track. You're going the wrong way. Find your way back to yourself. Find your way back to home. Find your way back to your heart. Because as soon as you do that, you've expanded past that. Right? And you've gone one step further, so that those things that keep coming in your life where you're getting stuck or you're feeling triggered or you're feeling like you're in that, honestly, I call it the big black pit of despair where we just get stuck. Those are our greatest moments of learning and teaching for ourselves, when we create that beautiful evolution to the next spiritual expansion of our greatest version of who we are.
How beautiful, Jacqueline. And I can't help but notice you might have one or two kids in your journey.
One or two. Or three.
Maybe more. And so in your journey as a mom, Jacqueline, and I don't have kids, I have two huskies, which, trust me, keep me busy. But
Yeah.
as a parent, I ask you to speak to parents engaging in this podcast, as a mother, as a guide, as a mentor. How do you offer this to young ones in a way that you're not stepping in the way, but also providing inspiration, because each human has their own journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, I think part of the really important story, part of the story for me, is that my boys are all adopted, right? And honestly, they are my greatest teachers. The moment you start looking at your children as a reflection of everything you need to learn about yourself is the moment that you can actually start bringing this to them as well. So when I look at my boys, even though we're not biologically related, we are so energetically related. And that's the most important part, is that each of them bring me, they're like a mirror to me to say, hey, look at this part of yourself that maybe you need to examine a little bit closer, or maybe something from your own childhood. Because when that's triggered, when that comes up for you, and I promise you, every single one of my boys bring up things about myself where I just go, you know, cringe a little bit, that's when I can sit down with them and say, hey, I understand. I've been there. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to criticize you. How can we work through this together? How can we explore what's really happening with you? And then how can we expand and grow together? So this becomes part of the conversation. I have no problem explaining to my children their spiritual side. And whether they want to believe it, trust it, hear it, and innately connect to it now, what I know is that I was introduced to it as a small child. And whether I got it from my mother when I was younger or not, I do now. Right? And so I plant the seeds, and then you just have to let it go, and they grow into that themselves. But at least you've opened them up to more possibilities. And most importantly, their intuition, right? What is that gut? What is that heart sense? And that's what I really foster with them, because when you can get them to sit and listen, that's the first step of what I think is our expansion, that connection to our spiritual self. When you can start hearing that inner voice, that deeper inner voice, that's when you're already connecting.
Beautiful. And I think about the many people on the planet that may never have a parent that offers that. So well
There's
done.
more. That's part of the problem. Just so
Amen.
we all know, right? We keep inherently and inheriting all of the past brokenness of our parents. And if you're not taking the time to really examine what that was or where that came from, we spend so much time blaming our parents for all the things that are wrong in our own lives. And instead, we don't look at them in understanding, going, well, what was your life like? What did you learn? What kind of parent parented you? And you go
Yes.
back, I've gone back 7 generations with my
Oh,
adopted boys. And we,
yeah.
this is addiction. I have boys who have had parents who have been addicted to everything for more than 7 generations.
Yes.
And so a different understanding comes into play. And you can create, and even when you look back at your own parents, where did they come? What did they learn? What were their experiences? And then you go, oh, that's why I'm the way I am. Not because
Yeah.
they did something to me or I need to blame it for them, but it's
Yeah.
that understanding that in their brokenness, you just get that. And then you get to change and you get to go, what am I going to choose for my own life?
It's a choice point and an opportunity, Jacqueline. I love that.
Right.
And I had a remarkable teacher in the medicine path out of Arizona
Right.
who once said to me, because people generally have some form of trauma in their journey, that when it
Everybody.
comes to the
There's nobody that
right,
doesn't. Like, let's
right,
just let's say that there's nobody that
there,
doesn't have some kind of trauma in their life, right?
there. I understand
Yeah,
just coming into the world is a traumatic moment, but what
absolutely.
my teacher taught me at that moment was when you think about things that have happened with your parents, don't you think that if they could have done a better job, they would? Those were her words. And it was so beautiful because
Right.
instantly I felt compassion. I felt an openness and a love.
Hmm.
And then to your point, and I understand our beautiful friends in the First Nations community follow this path of 7 generations, and it often takes 7 generations to heal. And so conversations like this, I hope, are a part of people's healing and evolution itself. I do want to dive a little bit, Jacqueline, because it was such an impressive venture that you took on with 365 Give in that first year. And I might get this wrong, but I believe one of the days you gave socks to somebody on the street out west, and then the next day a different act of kindness, a different act of kindness. What do you feel when you first approached someone and provided something of kindness?
Yeah. Well, 365 Give actually started because we were talking about parents as a
Mm.
parenting project with my 3-year-old,
Wow.
Nick, my oldest. And
Mm.
so I wanted to teach him just honestly how to be a kind, compassionate, loving little man.
Mm.
Because what we know is that the more we can foster that in the men in our world, it will create a different type of society. And so we did one small thing to give back to the world. It had to be so simple a 3-year-old could do it. And that was the whole concept, and still is today for 365 Give, is that if a 3-year-old can do it, anybody can do it.
Mm.
I think what we learned most about our giving is how much happiness it brought us. We always talk about, giving to others is the virtuous thing to do or the right thing to do. But really what we learned is that giving benefited us so much.
Mm.
Giving became a practice. And this is what we really teach right now, is that our lives become our practice, what we put out to the world. And so even though at the time I thought I was just, giving every day, and we did a blog about it and we wrote about it, and that's how it kind of expanded, is really it became my practice of love. Because what we know about giving is just love in motion, right? It comes right from your heart, you put it into your hands, and you give it out to the world. And pure true love is literally unconditional. You're not looking for an exchange. It's not as my mentor Neil Donald Walsh says to me, a tit for tat. I wasn't looking for something in return at all. I was giving unconditionally with no expectation of anything in return in a way that worked best for me and my son. So these are all the things about the science of giving we know, but the greatest reward we got was how it made us feel.
Yes.
And what we now know about the science of giving is that it increases our well-being. It decreases our stress. It increases our happiness, right? It
Wow.
makes us feel alive, and it makes us feel like pure love. And so what I realized, and it took me a long time to stand back far enough away from the project, was that it was my practice of love. And it was really a spiritual practice, and I didn't even know I was doing it.
Wow.
And now has become for me what I now understand at a much deeper and greater level. It was, you talk about these steps when you go back and you look at the beginning of your life. I can track back so many moments of my life that led me right to starting that practice with my son. And
Cool.
that was the beautiful next step of my expansion. I needed to do that to create that evolution for myself, to take me to the next most beautiful expression of myself in form. It was my evolution. And wow, it still serves me every single day today.
Beautiful. Well, the next natural question that comes to mind, Jacqueline, when you share that of such beauty is for those listening who may feel inspired to take action of some kind. Is there any word of advice or a general guide or a route to that moment that you can offer those that feel inspired to say, how about tomorrow I start something? is it different for everyone, or is there a general guide you can provide for those that feel inspired?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing everybody needs to realize is that love is a practice, right? Until you start to innately just connect to it, people think that, creating a new habit or practice is like 21 days. Well, it's not. It's actually 66 days, okay? On average, some people more, some people less. But really, these spiritual practices and practices of love, first of all, they start with ourselves. So you know what? Start giving back to yourselves. People always think, giving isn't a practice, or you have to give to somebody else or be kind to somebody else or generous. You actually don't. Giving starts with yourself. So what are those ways that you can make space and time in your day? And that practice could be as simple as, when you wake up in the morning, don't start with a cup of coffee, start with a glass of water. That's giving back to yourself. When you open the fridge, what are you going to choose that's going to give love to your body? Start right there, right? Maybe it's a meditation practice. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's a walk in nature. Find those things that work for you and start giving to yourself first. Because what we know is that when we give from an empty cup, it doesn't work. So we have to give from a place of fullness. So start with yourself, give to yourself. Every single day, just notice. I don't care how small it is. Notice every single moment. I have a practice in the mornings that I do, and it goes something like this before I even lift my head off the pillow. If love were a person, what would love think? Because that's the first thing that happens in our heads in the morning. What would love think right now? What would love say? And what would love do? And I take that practice with me throughout the day. So when I'm making little choices, you don't have to integrate a big thing. Just what are you going to choose next? What's your next greatest choice for love? It's that. And then when you're starting to feel that practice and you're taking care of yourself, go start doing it for the world. And you don't have to it's like pick up garbage when you're walking to the bus stop on your way to work. If you know there's homeless people on the street as you're, going to the office, make an extra sandwich for somebody and just bring it, automatically. Send somebody a text. Use this as your tool. Every day, send 3 texts to friends or family saying, hey, just want to tell you I love you. Hey, I'm thinking about you. Use your algorithm on social media as love. Create love. Create positive messages. People always laugh at me because they always say to me, hey, you know what? My feed is just filled with so much negativity. It's so terrible. If you went onto my Instagram feed, I get no news at all because I've created an algorithm that feeds my soul, not strips me of my soul. So look at all of the things around you, that algorithm in life that you're creating. You can do it choice by choice by choice, moment by moment in your day until you're automatically just choosing it without even realizing you're doing it. You're programming your brain. You're creating new neural pathways in our brain so that you automatically start making better and better choices for yourself and the world around you.
How beautiful, Jacqueline. And one piece stood out to me so vividly around our devices and algorithms and how many people on the planet at that moment in our podcast wouldn't go, wait a second, how do I do that? Because, we're all distracted. We've all got 48 things to do a day. And so if we could somehow navigate or create architecture within our device that moves more into the light versus distraction and darkness and all the things. So
all of it.
Practically
you
speaking,
can do it. Just look. What are you liking? What are you sharing?
Yeah.
What are you commenting on? Right? What are you actually stopping and watching? If you sit and you stop and you watch negativity, you're going to get more negativity. It doesn't, people don't realize how an algorithm works, right? But look at your whole life that way. When you're looking out at the world, and let's say you're yelling in road rage at the guy in front of you, you're creating an algorithm in your life that's going to create more of it. What we know is that energy out brings the same energy back in. So look at that in all areas of your life, but use this as your tool to support what you want to bring in, not the other way around. And that's, for me, this is my tool, literally, of happiness. I can go in and I can giggle and I can laugh on my Instagram feed. I can feel inspired. I have things that I can share with the world that I feel good about, and I only post positivity, love, goodness, happiness, all of those things. And then that comes back to you. And even in the conversations that you have, you and I, this will be the best part, my phone's been listening the whole time. So what I know is that my phone, in its listening, don't think it doesn't, is that's now picking up that algorithm. It's picking up my voice, it's picking up my tone, it's picking up what I'm saying, and it's going to feed me more of that, which is the best part. Yeah.
I'm inspired to start that tonight. Thank you for that. You know, in the medicine path, I was gifted with exposure some teachings in the Southwest, and they talk about which wolf do you feed? This
Hmm.
idea of, are we feeding the dark wolf or the light wolf? Because the one that
Absolutely.
has more nutrients is the one that's going to be stronger. So, how beautifully said. We have a choice, and it
Hmm.
does take action and consciousness.
It does.
What? Tell me more about your walk in life on the planet these days, Jacqueline. You're obviously walking in some amazing circles, we would say, that your journey into giving back and standing in the light and inspiring people, you must be walking with some pretty awesome people.
I've been so blessed in so many ways, and I think the beautiful thing is that when you, as you say, walk in the light and you choose a path of love in your own life, is that the most beautiful surprises come up. Over the
Mhm.
past 2 years, I've had the privilege, and these are the full circle moments. What really started me on my spiritual journey was a gentleman by the name of Neil Donald Walsh. He wrote a book called A Conversation with God a lot of years ago. And that was in my early 20s that I wrote his book when it came out. And
Wow.
today I work with Neil. I work with him in his organization. On the days we had Clubhouse, remember the social, if anybody was
Yes.
on the social app at the time, I spent much time
Mhm.
there because it was an opportunity to really shed a lot of light in the world during COVID.
Mhm.
And Neil and I had a whole show together. And it was the absolutely beautiful moment where you see this, these full circles come back into your life,
Mhm.
that are just a beautiful. And I've been able to work with I could reel off names of people: Gordon Ramsay, Michael Jordan. Like it could be some of the biggest stars that in the world. And it's not
Mhm.
because of that. It's just because in your journey, and when you walk a path of light and love, and Mark, you know this, you
Mhm.
don't go looking for it. These beautiful opportunities show up. And the real goal is just, how are you saying yes to your life, right?
Mhm.
And especially 2 years ago, I really took a personal journey of stepping past fear. And I think that's where a lot of
Mhm.
people get stuck in their life, is where I don't want to take the next step because it feels really scary and I'm not sure.
Mhm.
And so one of the ways that I started stepping past my fear is I did little things, and my kids are actually my catalyst to this. I started doing things like cliff jumping with them that scared the crap out of me,
Wow.
just zip lining with them. Like I started doing all the things that they were doing that I would just
Mhm.
stand back and go, no, no, I'm just going to watch. I started
Uh,
doing them with them, started doing these things with them, and then bigger opportunities would come up to say yes. A friend invited me to go to Europe. I hadn't been on a trip to Europe by myself since before my kids came. And I just
mhm.
said yes. I didn't even think about it. I just said yes and I went. And
Yeah.
a whole world opened up to me. So every time we look at what's stopping us, what we're scared of, and we take, even if it's not a step past that fear that you're looking right at that you can't step by, but you to start taking littler steps in other areas of your life. Oh my God, I
Mhm.
started doing CrossFit, which is going to sound like a crazy thing, but I take good care of. I like to work out. I take care of my body. It's really important to me. CrossFit was always something that scared the crap out of me because it's for the really strong fit people. And one day I
Mhm.
just went, no, I'm just going to sign up and try. All I can do is try. If I hate it, great. I'll never go again. Well, now I love
Right.
it and I'm addicted to it, right? It's like,
Wow.
bring it on. So I just always say that to people. My journey has taken me, it's always one step past my fear, one step past my fear.
Mhm.
And then that's when the doors open and the doors open and the light keeps shining in because you're not standing in the dark anymore.
The light keeps coming in because you're not standing in the dark anymore. How beautiful is that? A moment to
Right?
remember.
You open the
And
door, right? And you step through it.
yes, well, that's I hear the word precipice keeps coming to mind. That you're on the edge and take that
Right.
leap. And so I think that's an inspiring guide.
Trust. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You have to
Do you
trust. Yeah.
you are a human being or a spiritual being in a human body, and when you have those moments, Jacqueline, when you're at 2:45 on an afternoon, you just think you start doubting, or I know some cultures call it the pretender voices that seep in. How do you
Oh,
deal with
yeah.
those moments? Because they're natural for everyone.
Oh, they are. And trust me, I get them all the time, without a
Mm.
doubt. I find myself, I can now recognize when I can feel it coming on. I get a feeling in my body when I know I'm starting to get stuck. And then for me, it really shows up as anger. It's a big issue that's been a constant in my life that I'm really working through. Can you tell in my calmness right now? But I have these little angry moments. And so for me, what I know is it too shall pass. And I keep reminding myself that these feelings that come up, they will pass the moment we recognize them and say, hey, I'm angry right now. I'm upset right now. My body feels off. My emotions are off. So I have what I call my happiness toolbox. And I created these a long time ago. I actually created these during COVID for my kids. And these are the practices, the things in my world that I know can start to spark happiness. So I have a list, and it's things like music. It's walking in nature. It's going for a run along beside the ocean. It's jumping into the ocean, even on really cold days. It's gardening. I love my garden. Anything kind of outdoor and connected to nature. So I have a list of things that I know that it may not happen the first time. I'm not going to listen to one song and all of a sudden I'm happy and joyful again. But I know again and again and again, I sit my ass down and meditate, right? I won't even, the first 5 meditations, I won't even be able to hear the person's voice, but I know that probably by the 6th, I'll be back into it again, right? And I'll be able to breathe again. And I breathe and I breathe and I breathe. I connect back into my breath. And it's not because I'm sitting like a Wim Hof and I'm doing a 2-hour meditation. I'm not that girl, but what I can do is I can go for a walk. I can appreciate what's around me. I can walk down to the ocean and just say thank you. And I think the biggest one for me is a thank you prayer, because I know that in this dark feeling, there is light on the other side. I know I'm going to feel better. And so I just keep saying thank you. I say thank you for how I'm feeling. Thank you, I'm recognizing it. And I'm not just stuck in it, but I see it. I see you. And then I say, okay, I'm here. Let me hold on to you. I actually hold my hands because I have my one side that's what I call, my true nature, my spiritual side. And I have my one side, which represents that voice in my head that's not always so great. And so I'll hold my hands knowing that all parts of myself are holding each other, because no one else can pull me out of this. I'm the only one that can. And when you learn to be able to pull yourself out of the darkness, to hold yourself, to soothe yourself, to talk to yourself nicely, when we can start to do that, we were just talking about this before we started, the two-way prayer, when I can allow my best voice. I don't want to say, some people call it a God voice, the universal voice. It could just be the best part of you. So your positive, most loving words that you can say to yourself, when you can start to say those words to yourself, or I write them in a journal, that's my practice. I'll literally write to myself and say, hey, Jay, I know it's a bad day. I know we're having a tough time. I'm here for you. I'm listening. Let's look at what's so great in your life right now, and let's just start there. You are the most fabulous, amazing human being, and you're doing so much good in the world. Just give yourself grace. And so I have a conversation with love, literally. And I let that voice of love come through, and it's a prayer. That's my prayer that I have with myself, is I have a conversation with love.
That's beautiful. So many things in that to unpack, Jacqueline. I mean, I hear a sense of self-support or self-sufficiency, that it's okay to not be in a good place, but once you're aware of that, it changes the energy, and that you are enough. This idea of holding your hands together doesn't mean that so many of us reach out for others. There's the codependency. There's all the other issues on the planet. But to think about being able to do that just in a self-contained way to get you through a moment gives me chills to think it's possible. You're in a boardroom, it's not going well. You step out to the restroom, you have a moment, you come back in, you're a completely different energy. Beautifully done. Beautifully done.
Thank you.
I do want to leave time.
It's a practice. I keep saying this to people, but it is a practice. It's not going to happen the first time. It's not going to happen the 1,000th time. It is a practice that we have to, the more we can get ahead of it, and that's what I always say, is when we practice when we're feeling good, then on the days we're feeling bad, the practice is just easier and we come out the other side. But this is something that we need to do every single day, to find those tools to soothe ourselves.
365. There you are.
Every day.
I know there are people listening, Jacqueline, that want to know more about who you are. So where can we direct them? Website, social media. What do you offer to the audience?
Absolutely. Let's see. I would say Google search me. That's always a good place to start. That's an easy one. I have a TED Talk out, which is just a great way to understand this practice that I'm talking about. We did it a lot of years ago. It's about my Project 365 Give. It's called How to Be Happy Every Day. It will change the world. It's a great talk to go and listen to. We've been blessed with, a few views. I think we're at 8.5 million or somewhere along that lines now.
Amazing. Wow.
So I would suggest that. And then go to our website, 365give.ca. It's where my inspiration comes still every day. I still give every day. That has never changed for me. And we look forward to connecting with people in any way. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's usually the best place.
Jacqueline, what a full and abundant episode, just to be inspired and know there's hope in the world and that we can do it ourselves each and every day. I want to thank you for your time. I feel more light and inspired than I have in a long time, just hearing your voice, knowing the journey. And as I like to say, look what you did. Look what you did for the planet.
Thank
And
you. Thank
well
you for
done.
allowing the space for people to have these conversations, because I feel lighter, and you're giving everyone else a gift, because you're allowing us all to share what works for us so that everyone else can go and find what works for you. And that's such a gift, Mark. Please don't forget that.
I will not guarantee. Jacqueline, thank you for the time, and I send you much love from here.